Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Shit. Um. Un momento. We got to put the movie back over here. So it's time. Go ahead. It's time to talk about the third Bill and Ted movie, or revisit the third Bill and Ted movie. Bill and Ted Face the Music coming out in 2020, the year that everything went to shit, didn't it? I was so excited for this, man. Because I was too young. Like, when the first one came out, I was, like, 2. And then when the second one came out, I wasn't aware. I wasn't able to go see those. But I was so excited. Because finally, I was going to be able to go see a Bill and Ted movie in theaters. And then the president fucked things up for everyone. And I'm sorry. If you're a Trump supporter, I don't care. It's his fault. He should have kept the borders closed. He should have let no one off that goddamn cruise ship until they were cleared. But no, he let them all come back to the country and we got a goddamn motherfucking pandemic. And yet, he's running again. And I don't want to see a world where this happens again, because he fucked up this world last time, or this country last time. You gonna do it again? No. And I'm sorry, whether you're a Trump supporter or not, you have to admit there. Come on. But yeah, so I wasn't able to go see this, and my theater ended up shutting down, so I haven't gone to a theater to see a movie. I have actually went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and then we went to see the Aquaman one as a family, but not in my theater, not here, But I was not able to see this in theater, and I was so crushed. But I pre-ordered this motherfucker on my Xbox, because that's the way I do digital on there, and watch it when it came out. Luckily or unluckily, I got sick. It wasn't COVID. I had pounding goddamn headache, and I don't know what it was, but I was sitting there with a headache, watching this, and then reviewing it with a headache. I'm surprised I wasn't horrible on this film, because I see the flaws. I was excited for this movie when it came out, and then the trailer came out. Now, they made announcements that Bridget Lundy Payne and Samara Weaving were going to play Bill and Ted's daughters, and us hardcore Bill and Ted fans are like, no. They have sons, not daughters. Not Are they the younger sisters of the sons? No, they're retconning the son thing, and they're making them daughters, because every fucking legacy character in every movie or TV show has to have daughters, not sons, daughters. Although the Wizards reboot, which is apparently happening, he does have sons, but for a while there it was, oh look, Boy Meets World reboot, we're following his daughter. Look, Raven's house is the reboot, that's a Raven reboot. Her daughter, also son, but they're twins, so they kind of went. It's always daughter. They can have boys too, And they were boys. I know they were played, the babies were girls, but they were boys. The characters were boys. Little Bill, little Ted. No, fuck that. Let's make them girls. Theodora Preston, Billy Wilhelmina Logan, which is confusing, because I think Billy, and for some reason I think Samara Weaving, but that's not what it is, because I think Billy is you have a blonde, right? No, Billy is actually Bridget Lundy Payne. Samara Weaving is Thea. It's confusing as all hell. They have daughters now, and I knew as soon as they announced, I'm like, they're going to try to shoehorn them in here as important characters. And as soon as the trailer dropped, and the line in the trailer went, the prophecy says, a song written by Preston and Logan would unite the world and save all of reality. They didn't say Bill and Ted, they say Preston and Logan. And I went, It's gonna be their daughters, isn't it? Sure as shit, it ends up being their daughters that do it. Now, I said in my first review that they actually handle this pretty well, and I think they do. However, for those of us who wanted to see a Bill and Ted film, that's not exactly what we get. Yes, there's stupid logic stuff, but there's as much Billy and Thea in this as Bill and Ted. You know what I mean? They equalize it, and I get it, but this is not called Bill and Ted and their daughters face the music. It's called Bill and Ted face the music. We don't need all that daughter stuff, but we do. And the daughter stuff is kind of a negative for me, not because it focuses on the daughter, but because it's basically a rehash of the first movie. If you really think about it. Well, the other two, that Bill and Ted, title characters of the goddamn movie, go on a journey to try to find this song that they supposedly wrote. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. We get narrated by the daughters. Yes, even through my headache, I was watching this the first time I went. We're starting off with, this is not a good sign for anyone who is looking to poke a million holes into this movie because they didn't like the idea of the daughters. And I wasn't fully with it. I wasn't fully against it either, but I could see it. Excuse me. But they narrate the events of the first two films. This is the first time we saw them, and they're rocking in the garage. And this is the last time we saw them that was on stage in San Dimas, the second one. So, we start off with a wedding between Mom, and Deacon, who, the first time we saw him was like 13 or 14, something like that. And Missy was living in the house with the dad. Well, Deacon wasn't around in the second one, so I can assume maybe he was a military academy. I don't know. But he's a cop here, played by Beck Bennett of SNL fame, and they're getting married. And a lot of people brought this up, and yeah, she groomed him. She definitely groomed him. Yeah. And so, to celebrate this, Bill and Ted are playing their latest song. So we find out that success did not go the way it was supposed to be. Like I said, all the stuff during the credits of the second one were stuff that they considered not canon because they were just jokes they threw in. The only thing that they did keep was that Death did have solo albums. Pale on Pale being my favorite name. But, yeah, he did have solo albums, but that's the only one they kept, really. Although, Missy could have wed Denomelos between then and now. You never know. But then they try to use, so they do this whole speech. So they were together, they had success, and then the first song that they made was not the song that they needed, because apparently it's been told since the beginning of time, beginning of everything, that they're supposed to write this song that to unite the world and all the reality you find out later, and it's just like, that was never a thing. All he said is they would become a super band. It all goes back to they just had to pass their history exam. That's it. And then they had it. There was no real destiny thing in the second one. They were protecting their destinies. And in this one, now they have to write a song. Okay. So now they're trying to do that, and they write this weird, ridiculous song. Now they make this speech at the wedding that says that with Deacon marrying Missy, it makes Deacon his own son-in-law or brother-in-law or something, and their dad his own son. I don't know what to do. I don't know what they're trying to say. But yeah, and then, the other daughters are kind of laid back, but they're also smarter than Bill and Ted because the next generation is smarter than the last, so my son's going to be smarter than me. He already is. I can tell you that much right now. He is smarter than me. But, yeah, they listen to music, whatever, and so Ted's dad berates them, saying that there was no such thing as time travel, it's impossible. The entire goddamn world saw them time travel in a phone booth and look very different than they did 5 minutes before, 2 minutes before, whatever it was. And you were saying there was no time travel. You arrested a man who, when you did the fingerprints, would not exist yet because he's from the 28th century, the 27th century, 27th century. He wouldn't exist yet. Time travel's not real, though. And your son was in a band with two Martians, robots, versions of themselves, by the way, and the Grim Reaper. But time travel's not real. I don't understand this. This is so that he and Ted can have a makeup scene and, oh, I believe you now, later. But this, also there's some confliction with the time. So we established that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey takes place in 1993 because it's 5 years after the first one, which was in 1988. There's contradictions in this movie because they say that the first film took place in 89, which is not true because they mention 88 several times in the first movie, so it's not 89, it's 88. They also say that Thea and Billy are 24. So you say 24, that's 2017. Okay. But then as they say, it's been 25 years since the last one. Later. So it's 2018, which would be 30 years exactly from the events of the original film, which I am sticking to that. So, after the wedding is sort of a disaster for their careers, and they both get taken to couples therapy as couples, they go home while the wives stay with this therapist because they have trouble saying I love you without quoting the other. I and Ted, I and Bill, because they're a pair. Why are you trying to split them up? Don't split them up. This is not Ted face music. It's not Bill face music. It's Bill and Ted face music. They go home and talk to their daughters, and then their daughters go inside, and a time machine carrying Kristen Shaw shows up. She plays Kelly, who is Rufus's daughter, which they told you that in the trailer. It's a trailer line. Rufus's daughter. Named after Kelly Carlin, George Carlin's real daughter. So she has to take them into the future. The biggest issue comes from this. So, they talk to Holland Taylor, who is revealed not only to be Kelly's mom, but Rufus's former wife. By the way, on the way there, we see the old time booth, phone booth, whatever, and we see a hologram, pretty good rendered hologram from the first film of Rufus. Greetings, my excellent friends. Looks pretty cool. Tribute to George Carlin, I like that. They speak to Holland Taylor, and she tells them that they need to write the song. They have 7 hours, I think it is, to write the song, or 77 minutes is what it is. 77 minutes to write the song that will unite the world and save all of reality. Or things are going to go kablooey. Now, they keep tracking the time through there, which kind of goes back to the first one. However, by time traveling at the end of the second one, it does ignore the rules of that, where the time clock behind Demas is always running, because they time travel back to the exact moment they left, which was not a thing in the first one. Here, they completely ignore the rules. That they have that ticking clock. However, they never present the rules like they're supposed to. Because, as I mentioned in my reviews for the first two, my revision reviews for the first two, is that in those first films, everything from the events of those films was always meant to happen the way they were, due to what we saw in the future of those. Now, they kind of do that here, but they take that one step further by implying that the phone booth can go through multiple alternate realities. Yeah, it's a multiverse story. Surprise. With everything that's going on now, you surprised? Yeah. So, because they have a hard time writing the song, they decide to take the phone booth and travel 2 years into the future. Okay, so now we got another problem. Because they say we're going 2 years into the future. But when they get there, on the screen it says 2022, which means that this takes place in 2020, which would put the second film in 1995, which does not make any sense. So I'm going to ignore that 2020 and it's 2018. Ignore that 2022 and say it's 2018. Sorry, I cannot believe for no. It makes no sense. It makes more sense if it was 2018 because that's exactly 30 years, right? I don't. There was some mess up, okay? Because you cannot say it's been 25 years since the first film, since the second film, and say that it took place in '95 when it was. Came out in '91. I'll believe '93 because the style would have been the same. But by '95, styles were changing. No, I'm sorry, I can't. No, it's too much. 93 is what I'd say. So that was 93. So this is 2018. Okay, that's what I believe. So they go 2 years into the future and they find out that they're actually playing bingo halls, basically doing open mic nights, and that their marriage failed. Yeah, their marriage failed. Their wives left them. But also, they say that their daughters refuse to talk to them. And that's still the one thing I refuse to believe because throughout all this, their daughters are the most supportive. Yeah. So, meanwhile, after seeing what happened with their dads, they decide to help their dads write. Billy and Thea decided to help their dads write the song by going and collecting historical figures connected to music. Yeah, so they go to the 70s to pick up Jimi Hendrix, but he doesn't believe them, so he goes to the 20s to see Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, and they convince him to come with them in the time machine, and where they then recruit Jimi Hendrix, and then they go and get Harold Mozart, which there was an animated series episode where Bill and Ted did meet Mozart as a kid, and they get Mozart, and then they get Hall Loon, I don't know who she is, some Chinese woman, and an Aboriginal woman, I don't know. You couldn't come up with any. Dave Grohl's in the film. You couldn't have Taylor Hawkins as the drummer. He was still alive at this point. Come on. I don't know. Like they ran out of. Well, who's a famous drummer? I don't know. Ringo Starr. I don't know. You could have gotten anyone, right? But you get some Aboriginal cave woman chick. And to add on to the unnecessariness of this, for some reason, the great leader, Holland Taylor, believes that Bill and Ted's death will bring on the epoch and everything they need. So she sends a robot named Dennis Kelly McCoy, yes, that is his name, back in time to kill Bill and Ted. So it follows them throughout time. Bill and Ted decide that the 2 years wasn't enough, so they go 5 years into the future. So now it's just take two away. 2022. Yeah, now it's 2022. They say 2025, but I don't know. And here, they seem to be more well off, and they're, living in a mansion. But that ends up being a ruse because it ends up being Dave Grohl's house, and they lied, and the song is actually Dave Grohl's song. They refused to use it. They get in a fight, and then the dad and Deacon of 2022 show up. I'm saying 2022 because I'm trying to keep the timeline straight. The main story takes place in 2018. 5 years later from that is 2022, right? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 2023. Huh? Yeah, right? So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 2023, last year. So it's the dad and Deacon from 2023 But that from 2023 gets blasted by Dennis Caleb McCoy. Oh no, he's dead. What do we do? I had an itch. Hold on. And then they get to the booth and they time travel again. Now to later. That Bill and Ted got arrested. And they went to jail and they got really buff. And they made a song in prison that they're going to use the booth to go back in time with... the wives were also taken by older version of the wives. The wives are Jingma Mays as Joanna and the other one, Aaron Sanders? Something. And do all right. That's another running joke is that in every movie, the princesses are played by different actresses. I do like, though, when they're in the future with the mansion, Bill and Ted are speaking with British accents, they lie and say, oh, we went we vacation now in the middle of England, and we just kept with it. But it's a lie, of course. Then when they show up and they're clearly busted, they still speak with the British accents. I thought you took the song back. But, yeah, they're still trying to get that song. So they get back in there in the booth and they travel again to the future. And this is the far future where Bill and Ted are very old people. And they get the song, but this is where the older versions of Joanna and Elizabeth, the princesses, are, and they steal their booth. So how are they going to get back? Well, Dennis Caleb McCoy shows up in 2018. For some reason, it doesn't really make any sense because he's following them through time and it ends up back in 2018. And just as the daughters show up with everyone so they can write this, try to practice and do the song and stuff, and he blasts all of them, including Kelly, and quote unquote kills them. So when he finally shows up in the far future, they say, hey, we have the song, so you don't got to shoot us, right? And he's like, oh, apologies need to be had. No apologies, dude. We just got to... And he apologizes for killing the daughters. So they force him to kill them, but he won't do it because they have the song. So they smash the song, but he still won't do it. He tries to do it himself. We find out that his laser blaster, sends them directly to hell, which is the most contrived thing the most forced thing that I've ever seen in a movie like this, so that they can get Bill and Ted back with death. When this movie was in production, the original script did not have William Sadler's death in it. Grim Reaper. Saying William Sadler's death sounds weird. Didn't have death in it. And they eventually changed that. And this feels like that they only have William Sadler for a short time, so they had to fit him in towards the end of the movie. So, as Dennis goes to shoot himself, they get involved, and all three of them get shot, and he dies and goes to hell too. And they meet up with their daughters, and they're all happy and everything. And then they got to talk to Death. They find out the split was because Death got his ego got too much. He was playing 40-minute bass solos. He was going too much. He went solo and did not do very good. Went back to hell. And he also got in trouble. We find out for taking Bill and Ted back up. But he lost. 4 times he lost. And so he has to do whatever they say. That's the rules. Now, of course, he's not supposed to lose, but he lost, so he has to do what they say. But no, he got in trouble, so... yeah. And of course, it's Billy and Thea that talked to him and get him to cooperate again, and they all apologize, and everybody goes back up. This is where Ted's dad is also there because he was lasered, and he apologized. And he says this. He says, we are all in hell, which means that time travel is possible. And I'm like, really? Not the fact that the Grim Reaper was around. Probably you saw the Grim Reaper many times. But now this is proof. Also, there's various historical figures, but still. You know. So there's talk about meeting this, getting to this special place at a special time. When they go back up to Earth, it turns out this place is just in the middle of a freeway. Yeah. And so this is where I wager that a lot of people probably got mad. They didn't figure it out in the trailer. I figured it out by the trailer. So I wasn't too mad because I saw it coming. But, yes, this is where they revealed that it's actually Billy and Thea that are supposed to write the song that saves the world and unites the world and saves all reality, that thing. Yeah. Of course, saw it coming. Couldn't be too mad at that. I was a little frustrated, I think, because I had a headache, but it couldn't be too mad at that. So they start, getting the band together and write it, forming the song. But what Bill and Ted got to do? Well, they realize that they have to make sure that, how is hearing a song going to change everything? Well, they have to get everyone to play along. So they use an infinite button on the phone booth because it can go through all time and space. And they go through every time and give everyone instruments to play. I don't know how they would all know what it is when they get back just in time to play their solos as they save the entire universe and everything. And Kid Cudi is also there. Forgot he shows up out of nowhere because he's been taken from time. They recruit the other ones, but Kid Cudi just shows up because he was taken from his concert. I don't know. Then he disappears because he was the only one taken from the concert. And yeah. I do wish there was more with Ted and Deacon. There's not really, Ted shows up to give him and Missy instruments. In case you're wondering, I'm basically an instrument me. And like, most excellent or something. Like he's, I don't know. Most outstanding is what he says. Yeah, most outstanding. Okay. I don't know. But yeah, they save the world, the entire existence. And this is when Holland Taylor says to Kelly, your father would be so proud of you. I wager he would. And Dennis gets to do his dance. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. I do like the song and the other song that was promoting the movie, Beginning of the End by Weezer, that plays during the end credits. Not the direct end credits, when they do a bunch of Zoom or Skype things, and then when the credits actually start rolling, that's when it plays. And although I still enjoyed this, I still think it's pretty good, which is probably what I gave it last time. I don't hate either of these. Yes, the whole daughter thing is frustrating, and yes, it was way too obvious they were going in that direction, because of course they were going to go in that direction. But if you really think about it, that still makes Bill and Ted important people, because, if they didn't come together and if they didn't pass the history test in 1988, then Ted would have gone to military school. They never would have become a super band. They never would have met the princesses, and therefore they would have never procreated, or if we're going by Pineapple Express, fucked, and created the daughters that were not daughters at first, but are now daughters now. And I thought they were going to pull something like, they transed. But ain't in no reality, I believe, that Samara Weaving is trans. Okay? I'm just saying. But, yeah, I think this still holds up. Almost 4 years later. Yeah. Still good. So, yeah, that does it for the Bill and Ted revisiteds. But I got a few more revisiteds to do that I want to do. But until then, what are your thoughts on Bill and Ted Face the Music? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Mr. Gotti, and I'll see you in the next one.